I've been lucky enough to test pretty much every driver on the market in 2023, and in today's video we're going to crown the best driver for every ability level. That's beginner, high handicap, mid handicap, low handicap, and even the best driver for you guys with tour aspirations. However, we're not going to start there. We're going to kick things off with what I think is the best beginner golfer driver of 2023. It is, of course, the Tour Edge Exotics E7 23 driver. Now this thing's full of technology. It's a little bit more affordable than such as a TaylorMade, TITLEIST and a Callaway, and I think it looks gorgeous. It sounds really, really good. It's jam-packed full of tweaks and adjustments, so you can see you can put it in a draw or a fade setting. It has MOI Plus for maximum forgiveness, a dual carbon tech on the bottom, which we'll talk about in a second. It has a gorgeous diamond face, which I said sounds incredible. You can change the loft, you can change the lie angle, and it also has a lovely carbon top. So just exactly what more could Tour Edge do to make a driver that would appeal to beginner golfers or even high handicap golfers? This one could kind of morph into the high handicap realm, but then a lot of the drivers that we are talking about today could do just that as well. So for me, the Ridgeback technology on this driver does move MOI severely back. That means it's going to be a lot more forgiving than potentially other drivers. So like my hat, by the way, it's a very, very shiny driver, as you can see. I mentioned earlier, it is a little bit more affordable than some of the bigger names, even though Tour Edge do have some really high-end players on their books. And like I said, it feels great, it sounds great, and it goes like this. Even if you don't quite catch it, I really enjoyed that ball flight. Now, if you do like a loud sounding driver, this could be the perfect driver for you because it's not a quiet one, but also for that price you do get premium components. You get a multi-material head, which a lot of the big name brands do offer you, so that's a mixture between carbon and titanium. You also get a 10-size shaft in there as standard, as well as a Lampkin 360 crossline grip to match with the adjustable hosel, so you never skew whiff. That for me is the best beginner golfer's driver of 2023. Okay, so I hear what you're all saying. James has kicked this video off with a Tour Edge Exotics driver. That's absolutely wild. What is the best high handicap driver that I could potentially look at in 2023? Now, a high handicap driver for me has to offer a few things, because we're not talking about beginners anymore. We're talking about a golfer that potentially might well be getting better, might be having lessons, might be a mid-handicapper before long. So I don't want to throw in a driver that's the ultimate forgiving driver, because that wouldn't make a lot of sense. So for me, the best high handicap driver of 2023, I bet you guys can guess what it is. Guys, get in the comments below, what do you think the best high handicap driver is in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. For me, it is the Ping G430 driver. Now, I have the LS, I don't have the Max. Oh, brilliant. Oh, there we go. For me, it is the Ping G430 Max driver. This thing is absolutely fantastic. Once again, we have adjustability at the back of this club. It is a super high MOI driver, and it isn't the LS Tech version. The LS Tech version has a carbon crown on there. It's actually more expensive, but the carbon crown does allow Ping to manufacture weights around the head to make it a little bit, probably less forgiving, but more workable. We still have the forged face. We still have lots of factors that makes the Ping G430 a fantastic driver. And I must admit, for me, I think this sits down at the driver exceptionally well. I think it kind of morphs itself almost around the golf ball. It's got a huge presence. It makes itself known, so it's going to make you feel a little bit more comfortable around that. The one thing I don't like are the turbulators. They are very subjective. A lot of people might well like the turbulators. Another thing that I don't particularly like about it is the sound or the feel, but if you are a Ping guy, you will love the sound and the feel. Let's hit one and show you exactly what I mean by the sound and the feel, because for me, the LS Tech feels fantastic, but this one just sounds, well, not very. Yeah, it sounds a little bit tinny, but if you're a Ping guy, you might like that, because that's exactly what Ping drivers have felt like in the past. I think it has loads and loads. I mean, I've hit that so badly. That is a really, nothing's going to sound great if it's out of there, is it? But it has tons of shelf appeal for me. I think the vibrant colours really pop off when it's on the shelf next to maybe a Stealth, next to maybe a Titleist, next to maybe a Callaway. But personally, this will be no surprise to you, because Ping have been doing this for years, but I think that is certainly one of, if not the best high handicap driver of 2023. So what if you are working on your game? What if you have moved down to be a mid-handicap golfer? What's the best mid-handicap driver? Let's take a look. Now this one might well divide opinion, because for me the best mid-handicap driver of 2023 is not just the TaylorMade Stealth 2, but it's the TaylorMade Stealth 2 HD. You see, Nelly Corda used this driver, so I can't really say it's primarily a mid-handicap driver, but I love how far back that weighting is. I love it's got a weight in the heel just to allow for those off-centre hits. The speed pocket is exactly perfectly placed for low-faced hits, and there's a small matter of it having a bright red carbon face, which if you didn't know that, then I don't know what kind of rock you've been under. That for me isn't necessarily the best technology in the world. I personally really like the feel of the carbon face. A lot of people don't like the feel of the carbon face. A lot of people have had problems with the carbon face maybe popping out of the head. But I think personally for mid-handicap golfers, now I've taught a lot of mid-handicap golfers, I've played golf with a lot of mid-handicap golfers, I think this with the right loft on it in the right settings is a fantastic drive. You can get low spin with this even if you don't strike it as you mean to. As long as you get it launching, you're going to see some pretty good distance with this, and you're going to see pretty accurate drives, which is what all mid-handicappers generally do want. I mentioned earlier about that weight in the heel. That just allows, if you do kind of slice it a little bit, it's going to help you with that anti-right shot, which is exactly what a lot of mid-handicappers do want. I really like that on the HD model, you can see the red ring around the outside. That shows you a little bit more of a circumference of the driver. It shows you a little bit more that there is a little bit more behind this, and there is plenty of real estate behind there to help you should you not have your best on the day. And as I mentioned, I actually really enjoy the sound and the feel of the carbon face. So for me, that might be subjective. Some people might not like it, but I really do enjoy it. And I think if you are a mid-handicap golfer looking at maybe moving down into the low handicaps, the TaylorMade Stealth 2 range is certainly the driver that could help. Look at that for a ball flight. Lovely fade down the middle. And it doesn't feel like a carbon face. It feels, I'm amazed actually that it sounds like and doesn't sound a little bit more kind of thud-like. But for me, with the adjustments on here as well, it doesn't have the adjustable track, so you're not going to be messing around with that hoping that's the answer. It does feature the adjustable loft sleeve, so you can change the loft and potentially the lie angle as you do want it. So for me, that's the best mid-handicap driver of 2023. Guys, comment below, would you have that in as the best mid-handicap driver? Certainly the HD model for me is a little bit of a game changer as opposed to the standard model. Now let's talk low handicap and let's talk hitting bombs. So I'm going to stop you all now because a lot of people will be thinking, right, Callaway Paradym, tick it off, done, the best low handicap driver of 2023 and probably of 2024 and maybe 2025. But for me, there's a slightly different driver out there that's a low spin driver that is one of the longest drivers on tour that a lot of people aren't talking about, and that is a driver that I love the sound and the feel of. I think it looks fantastic. It's very traditional looking, so if you like a traditional driver, which a lot of low handicappers do because they've been working on the game more, they've been grinding, they're maybe a little bit more of a traditionalist, then this thing could potentially be the best driver you've ever seen. It is, of course, the TITLEIST TSR driver. I love this thing. I think the TITLEIST TS range changed the game for Titleist when they brought it out. The TSI was fantastic. The TSR is just different gravy. Now, what Titleist have done here is properly stick to their own guns. I love that pear teardrop shape to this. I love that they've got that adjustable track on the back, so you can have it in T2, T1, neutral, H1 or H2, so obviously toe or heel, depending on where your miss hit is to get the mass behind it on the face. I love how it feels off that face, and I also really enjoy the fact that they've taken them down to 10 or 9 degrees because they've said, well, it's way easier to launch, so you don't need that extra half a degree at 9.5 or 10.5. As you can imagine, there's no carbon on here because Titleist don't do that kind of thing. It is massively a titanium design, and it actually uses military grade titanium, I do believe, or I think the old one did, but they've kind of found something else because they felt bad taking military stuff from them. That's what I heard anyway. But for me, for a low handicap golfer, you don't need to show off with a red face. You're not bothered overly about any kind of big showy things or marketing ploys. You just want a driver that looks good, that feels good, that sits good. You've got pretty much more adjustment in here than any driver I've ever seen with this SureFit adjustment hosel, which Titleist nailed years ago and decided they don't need to change it. And if you're a low handicap golfer, oh wow. Every time I hit this, I wonder why it's not in my bag, because I feel it does have a sense of forgiveness as well. The TSR2 is a great forgiving driver. That could have been a shoe-in for high handicap, potentially going down into mid-handicap, but then some of the world's best golfers still use the TSR2 driver because in fittings, they started to see really good numbers and just that little bit of forgiveness. Just because you're a low handicap golfer doesn't mean you don't need forgiveness, and I think this is a lovely blend of both. So for me, the Titleist TSR3 is the best low handicap driver of 2023. Now there's a small matter of if you've got ambitions to be on tour. right, it's the driver that I've been using and I feel a bit stupid. Yep, I mentioned it earlier, it is of course the Callaway Paradym Triple Diamond driver. Now, I do not have ambitions to go on any kind of tour apart from maybe a magical mystery tour, but for me, this driver, and I think the Paradym family as a whole, have changed the game a little bit. I think that 360 carbon wrap is as much of a game changer as we've seen in golf technology for some time, because the ball speeds that I was finding on this are frightening if you catch it correctly. One of the things I will say is if you don't catch it correctly, then the ball speed does drop quite a lot, but then the spin rate drops as well. So you start to see a bit of a low dipper. You can get some distance out of it if you misstrike it, but it could go kind of anywhere. I really enjoyed using it this year. I feel like it's made me practice a little bit more. Like I said, I don't have ambitions to be on the tour, but if you are pretty much a tour player and you hit it out the middle most of the time, I can't see why you wouldn't use this, because for me it does just generate that little bit more ball speed for what you do want. And personally, I feel like Callaway have a huge problem going into 2024, because they will have a new driver in line, because they always do, but they probably shouldn't have a new driver in line. This was that good, I would honestly let it run for another year. I'd just go, look guys, we nailed it, we'll put a new colour out, we'll call it the Paradym Red, and we'll sell that instead. But we all know that's not how the world works, unfortunately. So guys, they are my top 5 drivers for every ability level. Let me know, what do you think? Do you agree? Do you disagree? And I'm just going to smash this down the middle and then go and get my tour card, because look at the difference in ball flight. You can really see a lovely difference in ball flight, a little bit lower. I think that's gone quite a way past, I actually hit that really good, quite a way past the other drivers that we've hit down there today. And just as I thought, 1, 2, 3, 4, Paradym, 5, 20 yards further down. Thanks for watching, smash that subscribe button. I'll see you all exactly the same time tomorrow. Goodbye.